Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 72 of the Tait Talks podcast. Today I'm here with returning guest David Hughes. Welcome.
Thank you for having me, Tait.
Well,
In your house as well as your podcast.
yes, David has been in Melbourne for the last nearly week, 5 nights, I think, doing stand-up in Melbourne for the first time. How's it been going?
It's been good. It's been eye-opening, but it's been really good. I've enjoyed it. It's a lot of the things that you gave me a heads up about were definitely not that I wasn't expecting it or that I didn't believe you or anything. I was never like in Perth on the phone to you thinking he's making this shit up. But I think going to that fuck me, what was it called? The night last night?
Blowout?
Blowout. There you go. Going to Blowout and seeing just seeing like the difference in like even in setup, you know, like it was well lit, there was music going on and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, we don't really get a lot of that in Perth.
I didn't realise last night, and this isn't slagging off the room, this is just
I'm slagging
comedy. Yeah, this is just comedy in different venues. But the biggest thing is by, I guess, different. It's not the room runners; it's actually the owners. They dictate how rooms are.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think this is just something that was forgotten last night, but I think it was like into maybe act 2. Or maybe the first act after the MC did like 5 to 7, that there was music playing in the background, and you're like, oh yeah, fuck. I did another gig on Thursday where it was the exact case. I was halfway through my set, I was like, oh, that music's not in my head.
Yeah,
like it's actually
that's not me humming.
Yeah, but this was the thing. Like you did, what did you do? You did the Lounge, Catfish, Lido, Cooper's Inn. Like you did showcases. You did pretty much the biggest room in Australia.
Yeah, Comics Lounges.
Yeah, which is pretty cool.
That was fun.
Did you any big differences from sort of the Perth one to Melbourne? Like what was?
Well, it's funny because I just did Brett and Bron's podcast, and we were talking about they were just asking how it was going. I was like, I love your lounge. I think I love it. You know, maybe as much or more than I love our lounge. Yeah. Sorry, Johnny.
We'll edit that out for Johnny.
Yeah.
I love it though.
but as Bron says, like it's probably just because it's different.
Yeah.
It's a different, because she was like, novelty. And she's right too. She said a crush in the Perth City Lounge is like nothing else. Like the pop that you get in that room. And I mean, it's that room is perfect, like acoustically as well. Like the way it's set up, it's incredible. But then, you know, like I was saying to her, the Perth Lounge, we get like 130, I think it is, or something like that in a full room, whereas Comics Lounge
130,
150 maybe, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah, it might be 150.
Yeah.
But at the Comics Lounge in Perth, on that Saturday show where it was like half full, there was still like 250 people there. You know?
I think you mean not Perth, Melbourne.
Yeah, sorry. The Comics Lounge one that we did here, that I did here on Saturday, that was, it was half full because it was like a late show. Yeah. There was a show before and then it was the 9 p.m, so it didn't sell as well. Yeah. And that was, half full was still like 250 people.
Which is crazy.
Absurd. Yeah.
Like, because the first 2 nights was in the back of the room, just supporting type thing. And then I was like, it doesn't seem like there's that many people. And then I moved from one spot to the other and I was like, holy shit, they're fucking wedged in here, and then the sides were
there's
open.
The wings as well, the wings, which I don't know how many people sit up there, but
it must be at least, if you had that full, like I would say over 100.
Well, where you and I sat after my set the other night I think that was the Saturday, was it? Yeah. We sat at the back with Rove and Joe.
Yes.
Like those wings, I think, back to front to back, that's probably about 100 people. Like,
it's crazy.
Because there's tables as well. We were sat on tables that seat like 6 to 8 people.
It has to be the premier room, I would say, in Australia.
Yeah,
I've been lucky enough to go, like just to go to them, but the store in Sydney, now the lounge in Melbourne, and the other lounge in fucking Perth. And you're like, wow.
Sit down.
So that was the soundbar making a little
guest I thought that was you like farting or something.
Power off.
This sit down comedy club in Brisbane, like that's their top room. They're quite, I don't know how many they get in. I'd say that would be a couple of hundred.
Yeah. I think the craziest thing is, like, while you've been here, The attendances, I forgot to mention the one out in Altona. It always fucking eludes me. The
God,
laugh.
yeah.
What's Joe White's room called?
Comedy House.
The Comedy House in Altona. If you're based in Melbourne, go out to that gig because it is, one, the acts that are on are insane.
On a Wednesday night.
Yeah, it was 230 people.
They got me on a No, they had... oh my God, his name escapes me because I'm just thinking of Tom Seeger, Nazim. And then like fucking Thorno and Hughesy and Hellier, just absolute monsters headlining that room, crazy.
Even Joe White is on the Hunted and
and he's emceeing it every week, I think now.
Yeah, it's fucked. It's we're just sort of blessed this week for the capacities for you did Lido on Tuesday in Hawthorne, which was a perfect initiation to.
It wasn't.
Well, I mean, for the crowd size and how I've seen Lido, like that was a bustling night.
The more I reflect on that, the more I'm like, that was horrible.
Yeah, Lido, not the room, just David's
not the room, the room as well.
Yeah, but the sort of we spoke about this, and I've sort of been a bit of an advocate for this before you were coming over, and just I've heard other comics talk about it. Originally, I thought this was not a thing, and I was like, oh, these guys just saying this shit because they haven't been going well. But the weirdest thing about Melbourne is there is pockets of different styles of comedy within Melbourne, which is bonkers. Yeah. It sounds insane if you're listening to this pod and you're like, that's not true. Funny's funny.
Yeah.
It's true, but you have to be there funny. And when you've got a super certain leaning audience and they're all aligned in that way, you get up there and you do, you're doing the lounge in Perth all the fucking time. And you're fucking knocking it out of the park, and then you come over here with the same material, but it's just probably not aligned to that fucking area.
Yeah. I had to switch some of it. Yeah. No, I had to really think on my feet a lot of the time and switch some stuff around and make like myself more the butt of things as well. A few times when I was like, I'm gonna be bagging on someone else here, and that's not gonna work with these people. So I need to be the butt of it. And in that instance as well, Lido probably was a really good introduction because like, okay, I need to be a little bit different.
Yeah, which I think now that you're doing like, well, you've done stand-up obviously a lot in Perth, you've done a run in Brisbane or Queensland, Queensland, let's call it that, and now Melbourne, trying to get the different lay of the land of it is a little bit different. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. I think every city's probably got its own. It's probably the same in Sydney, like you were saying about the little pockets, and I'm sure that's the same there. But or Lido just fucking hated me. There's always this. But Kappa was my I was talking to Bron about this today. Kappa was like my canary because I watched him, he's just brilliant, and I was like, all right, well he's not getting what Kappa should get in this room. So I was like, lower your expectations.
Yeah. It is such a weird thing that you like, as I was chatting earlier to you this week about I started 10 years ago. But these little things are the biggest things that you learn, I guess, are when you're doing stand-up, you realise that it's not all the same. And it's really hard to even give people a heads up properly.
Yeah.
If someone's first gig and you're like, oh, this room's different to that one. Like, no, it's not. And you're like, have fun.
All right then. Yeah.
Yeah. It was interesting doing the gig last night because it was just watching you with the big rooms and stuff. And it's just like, this is comedy. And then go do that room. And I'm like, oh yeah, this is comedy.
This is also comedy.
This is really for the level that I'm at, this is comedy. It's the sort of you really do have to just fucking do every gig, and when you do get a good audience, you really have to take it for what it is and be like, thank you. You know what I mean? It's so weird.
It is strange, and it's made me super grateful for having started in Perth.
Yeah.
And to be completely honest with you, I think if I had to start under these circumstances, I probably wouldn't have stuck at it. Which I know how that sounds. I know how that makes me look as well. It's just, and you and I have talked about it too. I don't see how you can develop material in rooms where, there's no one there, for one thing.
Yeah.
But then even in a place like Lido, for example, this is a really good example actually, where I was talking to another comedian about that room, and they were saying that when they do it, if they do new stuff and it doesn't go well, it's not a good test for them because it's because of the type of room that it can be.
Yeah, okay.
And when they do their tried and tested and it doesn't go well, it's like, okay, well, I know that this works everywhere else.
Yeah.
But you walk away like not really learning anything from it.
Yeah, okay.
So I thought it was quite interesting.
It is.
Because, and sorry, just to the point there is that like, I know the rooms and stuff so well back home that I know when I go to a certain room that like, typically this is a good place for new stuff. They're not going to be too kind. They're not going to be too harsh. And if I sort of sandwich it between stuff that works, I should get a decent read on how this will go in the next room and the next room. And then you get it to a point where you go, all right, well, this is ready for the lounge or Oasis or whatever.
Yeah, you can do like your fucking testing.
Yeah, but it's hard to test if the data that comes back at you is so inconsistent.
And this is the thing that we've been chatting about this as well. And this isn't slagging off anyone. Once again, it's just the climate you're in that we see people do comedy a certain way, not naming names, and then you go like, have fucking fun getting out of this fishbowl. Yeah. And then they do, and they're like, oh, you know, this fucking killer from blah, blah, blah's come over and now they're doing this. And it's always like a little bit being like, is this going to be vindication for me? Because I personally don't think this person's that good. And then they go over and they do the gigs and they get bigger gigs and shit. And people are like, oh, that person died on their ass. Like, the person's not good. And you're like, well, for the climate they're in, they actually have worked out how to, you know, hack the game. How to
be in that climate. Because, you're only operating in that like little ecosystem, that economy. Like that's what you get good at doing. And I think that's, you know, definitely why I have to travel more.
Yeah.
Because I think it should hopefully get me a little bit better.
I think it definitely would. I mean, just watching you from sort of the start of the week to like Saturday night and tweaking, learning to go like, oh, this actually doesn't work. Because a lot of people go, this is my set. Yeah. And this is my set.
Yeah.
And not being able to like change on the fly and stuff. So I think that's one of the, like if I was ever going to, someone weirdly asked me for like any sort of info or anything like that about stand-up, it would be like, oh, you will need to. I don't really have it myself, to be fair, but you probably do need like nearly 2 variations of your set.
Yeah. Which I have incredible. A few variations of it, and the ordering and stuff can soften the blow of certain things as well, like just by changing what you know, like where you put certain things. Like I probably need to be established a little bit more, like with the audience before I show them this little sort of, not side of me necessarily, but this thing that I want to talk about. But yeah, it definitely helps to be able to do that. And this has helped sort of further that as well.
Yeah. So in terms of sort of coming over to Melbourne from Perth, you've been doing it for how many years now?
4. Tomorrow it's 4.
4 years. Oh yeah, because it's his birthday tomorrow.
Woo!
That's a good one because you can never really forget, can you? Because it's always fucking your birthday.
Yeah.
But can you? I suppose. Well, it's a good thing. Like you got a couple of gigs tonight. You got Spleen and Funny near the Brunny. From when you started, like, did you think you'd get to where you are now? Does that make sense?
I don't know about think, or I guess I just hoped that it would, because I knew I wanted to do it. As soon as you know how it is, as soon as you do it, you're like, this is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And then
if you go well. If you go bad, you're like, well, I'll just commit suicide and
just jump off a bridge.
This is a terrible idea. Can't believe everyone lied to me.
I had a full start as well because of the birthday gig. So everyone was like super nice to me to begin with.
And you did your first gig at the Lounge?
Yeah, I opened for Pinder and then Wolfie the next show on the same night. Yeah. So I just had the best audiences anyway, and they were all super kind because it was my first time and it was my birthday. So they were just the loveliest, which was a real full start. Yeah. Because I then got booked to do a pro weekend like 2 weeks later or 3 weeks later based off that performance. But I got, it just showed how green I was when I was up there because I was up there with pros. Yeah. And anyone watching me like, oh, this dude's not ready. Yeah. But at least that's how I felt.
But you didn't bomb though.
I didn't bomb, but I didn't do well.
Yeah, okay. Just middle of the road.
Just like, I wouldn't have even said it was a pass mark. Like if you'd have walked in and I was on, you'd be like, oh, this isn't a really good comedy club.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I do think you would have thought that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's also too. I think you did have a big advantage of being a professional writer.
Yeah, definitely.
Knowing how, because that's the thing. Most of us just don't even know how like joke structure works.
I think you start off just emulating what other people do, don't you?
Yeah,
You're like,
yeah,
oh, I know what a
true.
joke looks like and how you're supposed to sort of tell it when you're on stage or whatever. That's why someone like we always look and sound like somebody else for a while, and then we find our own way of doing it. I probably haven't even found my own way of doing it yet as well. Subconsciously, I'm sure I'm doing it the way that I have seen people do it and think that that's how it's meant to be done, or the way that I think suits me.
Yeah,
I'm waiting for this little thing that will happen. I think it will happen where I just start doing it completely differently and it feels more comfortable.
Start
Because I
doing
still
it in
don't feel
Chinese.
very comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm really in my own element now. Just going to do a shitty Chinese accent then. No, that's cool though. Like, it's cool that it's 4 years tomorrow. It's a pretty cool, like, little, on the eve of your 4th year, you got to do like a run in Melbourne and
Yeah.
a successful run at that, which is awesome.
I did kind of plan it that way.
Oh, okay.
Like
okay.
when I was talking to you about coming over here, I did sort of go like, oh, around that date, I want to be doing comedy, obviously. So I like to book something for that night.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, oh, actually, I could probably book the Melbourne trip for around then. That would be cool.
There was a part of you that tentatively was thinking about, is Melbourne the place to move to?
Yeah.
In terms of comedy.
Yeah, it's not.
Okay.
It's definitely not.
Yep.
I
Fuck Melbourne.
no, Melbourne's amazing. I love it.
Okay, we love Melbourne.
But I don't think you need to, as long as you have the sort of capacity, the ability to travel, I don't think you need to be anywhere in particular.
Yeah.
Just do the hard yards wherever it is that you are, and then I guess move around.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I do. I think that I was never really. I was just like, oh, whatever. I'll do whatever happens. But then it was Bron Lewis and Peter James one night at the Comedy Lounge, and Dave Thornton just like kicking me up the bum, going, "You have to go. You have to go and do all the other places. Like go see all the other cities."
I remember we had that chat after that.
Yeah.
I remember I was pretty adamant that, like, yeah, fucking if the pros are saying go, like,
yeah, there's that
go
too.
free. Yeah,
there's that too. But I think as well, like it does just. I don't know if it does because I've only done it twice now. I think maybe if I do it for the next like year or so, where I'm in a different city every couple of months, that will hopefully, take it to a.
We got Sydney booked in.
Yeah, Sydney and Brisbane next month. So.
Oh, yeah, fucking heaps booked in. Yeah. 4 states out of the fucking how many we have? 7.
Yeah, this year.
Yeah. Well, that's how many more can you realistically do in Australia?
Yeah, that's it.
Like you're not going to go to Tassie.
I mean, I would if there was stuff going on,
Yeah,
but I don't think there's anything going on.
I don't think there's much going on there.
And then with Adelaide, I don't really know much about Adelaide, but it seems to be like the Rhino Room, and that's it. So
seems to be Fringe time.
Yeah, Fringe, obviously huge, but that's like right after hours, and my Perth Fringe is usually chaos.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I want to go to Adelaide too.
I suppose that's sort of the next trajectory for you is actually like every comedy festival you go to.
Every fucking settle down, Tait.
In Australia.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd like to do
some
the other
capacity
fringes as well.
Yeah. Like just getting up. But that's the thing, it's like where do you start to make good money from stand up?
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, do I really want to go to Adelaide just to do a few shows to tick it off?
Yeah.
Or I can stay here and do X amount, and actually make a bit of money.
Well, even with that Sydney trip, like we were talking, maybe just come at the end of that Sydney trip, come back down here, and do the lounge again. Which, if they always hand envelopes full of cash to you as you're walking out the door, that'd be cool.
Well, yeah, it would be nice. It would be very nice.
Which I have a feeling is the case.
Yeah. I think that'd be a lot of comedy clubs, though. I would say.
I know it's a thing over here, like getting paid cash and stuff is a thing over here. In Perth, maybe in 4 years, I think I've been paid cash maybe 3 or 4 times.
Really?
Yeah.
Fuck, I reckon I've probably made like $5,000 through stand up, and that's probably. I want to say, 95% has been cash.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just probably the nature of the gigs, though. Footy clubs, cricket clubs. All that type of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, but even they pay. They want invoices.
Not the dodgy ones I go to, apparently. Yeah. It's fucking... It's weird, sort of like... It's all like, for me anyway, like getting paid to do stand-up. Like you're like, I do this for free.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're just like,
well, that was
here's money, and you're like, thank you.
That was my thought leaving the Comics Lounge on Saturday. So the last gig was on the Saturday. So I did Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday night. As you know, you were there, and like leaving, I think I said to you actually, I was not going to send like an invoice or anything. We hadn't agreed on a price.
Yeah, okay.
And I would have come to Melbourne and done, even if I only had that run, I'd have come to Melbourne and just done that run, and I'd have done it for free.
I'll clip this up and send it to the lounge.
So yeah, it's always amazing when they go like, and here you go. You're like, oh, okay.
It is pretty, and the thing too, like you got to, excuse me, with the shows were with Ash Fils-Aimé, Joe White, Dave Callan, Monty Franklin, who's doing extremely well.
Yeah,
like it was pretty, like it was the first time that I sort of like, by your invite, went into the green room and got to sit down and saw the back of the lounge where the fucking chocolate's made, sort of thing. And it was
such a cool area.
It was fucked. Yeah. Like looking at the actual, every person that was on the wall was from Louis C.K. to fucking...
It's amazing because you can't look at that wall and everywhere you look, there's somebody that you know.
And genuine bona fide star.
Yeah, it's either like, oh, you know them, or they are a huge fucking star.
Huge. Like just, you know, you took that photo of me and it was just like, I don't think I even saw that above. That was just the Ari Shaffir sign.
Shaffir, yeah.
Which is, it's insane. But you sort of think to yourself like, oh, by default, I'm in the same room as fucking like Louis C.K. All these big acts, 100% would have
Chris
sat.
Rock was there.
Yeah, Chris Rock. It's genuinely fucked.
Yeah,
like
it's incredible. That's one of the things. Like I remember it was only a few days ago, but I was sat in there thinking like, if they ever like refurb this place, if they ever like, you know, renovate it and stuff, I hope they just leave this green room completely untouched, because the history already, just in the, I think 12, 15 years or whatever that they've had it.
Yeah.
The history in that room, I just got goosebumps. It's because it's incredible. Yeah, I was sat in those chairs thinking, all the acts that have been through here, that's amazing.
Yeah, all that fucking, Louis C.K.
And Rove came and sat in with us as well. Like,
Even like, as I said to you, sort of like, growing up, Rove McManus was huge. Yeah. Huge. He was our David Letterman. Like he was genuinely massive. It's very hard to explain to people that, you know, you're from England type thing. When I was growing up, how big he was. And then he walked into the green room and I was just like, okay. And he's like, this is Tait. And I was like, hello there. Yeah. It's just strange.
Yeah.
And then even like finding out Monty Franklin
was on Rogan.
Was on Rogan, Kill
stuff,
Tony. Yeah. It's such a weird fucking thing.
Yeah.
You know? And the good thing is too, you got to do stand up with those guys and you did very well.
Yeah.
And that's the cool thing that you get to, that these people are doing the biggest, you know. Monty was saying that he introduced Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
At the comedy store.
The mothership. The comedy store. Yeah.
And I was just like, holy
He just announced all his
shit.
dates, and I was looking through them, like all the dates that he's doing and the venues and stuff. And yeah, he's doing like the comedy store. I think they're his own shows as well. So I think he's doing his own show at these places. And then he's in Perth like the end of the year doing the Astor or the Regal, one of those.
Yeah, he's doing like a 2,000-seater in Melbourne.
Yeah.
Which is fucking bonkers.
It is bonkers, but if he's doing the Regal's like 1,500 as well. Like it's huge too.
It's just a normal dude just being like this handsome son of a gun.
He's very good looking, isn't he? Fucking hell.
And like in great shape. And you're like, well, I hope a brain aneurysm gets you. But, you know, there's a part of me that's like, fucking well done. You've got like every string to your bow that you're... And he's funny.
He was destroying at the lounge too.
Yeah,
that was the like my first night, and you're like, oh, you're on after Monty. You're like, brilliant.
Did you know who he was? I had no fucking clue.
He was, yeah.
And then a quick Google search, and it was like, oh wow, this is like a fucking... This guy could be the headliner.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think it was only because he was doing new stuff to try out for his show.
Which is crazy. He's doing new on a pro show.
Yeah. And with a notepad. He brought a notepad out with him.
And just crushing.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck. Yeah, no, I don't hope he dies from a brain aneurysm. That's comedy. No, it's fucking great though. I couldn't, to sit back in that room and be like, wow, he's to be in like the presence, and it's haunted. Remember that?
Yeah, it's not. But yeah,
It's haunted.
it isn't. But,
Joe White was telling us that a father killed his wife and son.
Wife and child. I think he just said wife and child, but yeah.
Yeah.
I say it isn't only in the playful sense. I don't know if ghosts are a real thing, but yeah, it's
either way, a horrible, horrible murder happened there.
Yeah. You gotta wonder, like, I hope it wasn't a comedy club then.
Yeah, true.
The show sucks so bad.
The guy just went to do his Tait 5 and it failed, and he was like, I'm eradicating everyone.
Yeah.
This little bastard might have my sense of humor as well. He's out.
Gonna fucking murder him.
This bitch has been telling I'm funny for years. She's out.
She's wrong.
Yeah. Anyway, good old fucking death. That's the good stuff. What's next? So back to Perth.
And then Brisbane on the, I don't know, actually. Brisbane in it's next month, I think, in like 3 weeks or something after I get back.
Yeah.
And then be there for about a week or so.
Yeah.
So same as here. And then Sydney and then back here.
Yeah. Yeah, sick.
Yeah.
So fucking a big... Well, it's mid-November?
Yeah.
End of November.
What, Sydney or?
Mid to late, yeah.
It's the 11th, so early November, really.
Yeah.
And then but it was just because I remember talking to you about the whole momentum thing, and I lost momentum when I first started traveling for comedy. I just did one, and I was like, "Oh, that'll do."
Yeah,
it's like it won't do.
Yeah,
it won't do.
What do you reckon now, realistically, if anyone's listening to this podcast and they're sort of like doing well in their local scene, they've travelled a little bit? Do you now have sort of an idea of the frequency that you think that you need to get out of your own Sleepy Hollow and then into?
No, I really think it depends on what you can do. Because you have to remember, like, I can work from anywhere. So most people can't do that.
Yes,
most people, like, I should be able to take pretty much however much time I want off.
Yeah,
it's not going to affect me. But lots of people that are doing comedy have got day jobs and can't just take every couple of weeks off. And they got families. I got one of them, but fuck them. But you know what I mean? Like people don't have not fuck them. They're amazing, but they let me do this. That's the thing. Yeah. Whereas some families, I think, are a bit like, no, you just went away last month. Whereas when I was talking to my wife about this, she was like, no, it makes sense to do it in succession. So the momentum is there, and you benefit more from it that way. I was like, that's why I married you.
Smart. All right, we're back. A bit of technical difficulties. We're talking about comedy. The last time I had Tabo Tumor on.
Yeah.
Tumor. It's funny because I fucked up his name in the...
Did you?
Anyway.
They fucked that up at the lounge too.
Yeah.
And not even the hard one. They misspelled Tabo.
Oh, really? Yeah. It was 2.8 years ago that I had him on the podcast. I know that it's been longer since I've had you on the podcast.
Yeah, so it'll be about 3 years probably.
Yeah, but we chat every day, so that's... But I wanted to talk about the project. You've been writing for the project for the last
about 2.5 years.
Yeah. So
it'd be about that.
How, like, because you essentially Rove came into the thing. Rove is your boss. Yeah, which is quite funny. So what was
funnier still, because my other boss, one of the head writers on the show, was like, "Hey, where does you're in Melbourne?" Because I for the listener, I write on the project remotely and always have, because I'm based in Perth and they film here in Melbourne. But yeah, my boss was like, or my other boss was like, "Are you coming into the studio today?" And I was like, "No, no, I'm not." I did have other stuff on though, because I do have other work, so it would be hard for me to be working in their offices and then having to do all this other stuff as well. So that was the main reason I didn't go. It's nothing to do with any of the people. Sorry, I interrupted you. What was your question?
Well, probably start with what actually the project is, because it's a long institutionalized fucking show in Australia.
Yeah, it's been going for like 20 years or something.
Yeah, something like that.
It's a panel show, like a news sort of. I mean, it is a news show, current affairs show, and then my job is to make some of the stories funny So there'll be some stories that we can't obviously touch with humor, which would be relating to, you know, death and war and stuff like that. We don't fuck around with that stuff. But then there'll be things in the like 24 hours, because it's on 6 days a week. So within the 24 hours news cycle, we'll find something that we think is lighthearted enough that we can cover on the show because it's big or important enough. And then we just write jokes for the hosts.
So that I remember last time you were on the podcast, you broke my heart because I thought like panel shows were real.
Oh, because that was like Mock the Week and stuff like that at that point, wasn't it?
I honestly thought they were just superstars, but it's all. But you did make a great point that I still remember, that there's so much money that's put into those programs that by chance you can't just be like, well, we'll let this comic come up with this shit. And if it doesn't, you know, you're shooting. Like, comedians are always telling jokes, fine, but at the same time, they're not all great.
No, and they're not. Yeah, that's the thing. They're not all great, and then there's not always going to be the stories that are coming up, and not always going to be things that particular host or comedian on the show is going to be excited about or be able to write or think of funny things about straight away. Purely on a knowledge basis as well. Like, if you don't know enough. But we're researching those stories as we're doing them, so we find the little things that we can link to and make fun of. Yeah.
So can you walk me through? Obviously, some of this stuff is like NDA type stuff that you can't go into. So tell us what
I'll
you
avoid
can.
those. I'll just avoid those.
So could you? What's a normal day writing on the project like? What is it? How does it work?
Remotely for me, it works like this. I start at about. Well, since I've been here, because there's a time difference, so we'll do it here. I start at like 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah, 9 o'clock, about 9:30. And I'll just research stories from all the news for the last, like 24 hours. We try and keep it within 24 hours. So I'll find stories and pitch them to the producers that I think might work on the show.
Okay.
So they also have to be like something that I think tonally will work. It doesn't have to be Australian. It can be like worldwide or whatever.
Yeah.
But obviously I'm not going to, I'm not going to pitch a story about something that's going on in the Ukraine, because I'm like, no one's going to make light of this. It's not a fun topic anyway. So we'll find stuff that's quite fun anyway, then that we, especially because we know who's going to be on the show. So I'll be like, oh, well, I know that person is quite into this stuff or whatever. So we'll pitch stories like that. And then once they're approved, the next job is just to write. Each of the writers in the room will all just write jokes for each of those stories. Usually about 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah.
Write an article, and that's pretty much it. That's the. Oh, and we have funny clips, like videos that come in.
Yeah. Where do they come from?
Another team that are researching those will find those clips and go like, here, we've passed these through legal. These are fine to use, and play them on the show, and then we'll write jokes about those.
How quick do you write something and it has to go through legal to actually know that you guys can keep chatting about it?
So that all happens before we even, go to the jokes even get to the desk. They don't reach anyone at the desk until they've all been through legal.
Yeah.
So they have to go through legal and fact to make sure that we're not making stuff. Like there was a story, for example, on Friday about what was that band? Jane's Addiction. And I said that the addiction was pills and punching, because they got into a fight and apparently they were on sort of drugs and stuff, which I don't usually do. I knew that this wouldn't get passed. I kind of did it for the rest of the writers too, because it was just a fun thing, which is not a good move if you're ever in my position, but I've been doing it for a while, so I knew I wouldn't get too much of a telling off. But legal sent this adorable email back to me saying the punching is the real issue here. To say that they're addicted to punching, because no one's addicted to punching. So I'm making that up. That's not. Do you know what I mean? That's not true. The pill thing was okay as long as it's well established and well known that they have a pill addiction. In which case, sure, we can reference it. Which I thought was quite funny, because I hadn't even thought of that. I thought the pill addiction here will be the problem.
Yeah.
The punching addiction will be a playful take on the fact that he threw a bunch of punches.
Yeah.
I thought that would be fine, but it wasn't. It was the other way around. So this is why they get passed through legal, because they don't have the comedy brains. They have the absolute technical, this is what we have to look for.
Why will we get sued?
Yeah,
because of this?
Before they get to the desk and the hosts get them, legal have already sorted all that stuff out.
Yeah, it's a super interesting thing, because I wouldn't have known that sort of legal has to go through it all.
Yeah, I mean, most of the time we make their jobs very easy because it's very rare that I'll write something like that. I did that for my own amusement, if I'm being perfectly honest. Me and like 2 other people in the room, I did it for that because I pitched it in the meeting and they all just went, "Don't be ridiculous." But yeah, for the most part, like that you can't say like, well, Prince Andrew's definitely a pedo. Do you know what I mean? You can't. Yeah, you got to be careful.
Well, it is just a different world, though. Like, I couldn't imagine. So, how many people? So, there's a panel of how many on the show?
4.
4. Does that mean there's 4 writers?
Yeah, but we don't write for all of them. So there's 4 writers writing for one of the hosts. Sometimes 2. It kind of depends. Like sometimes they'll be like, oh, jokes coming out of this person usually work quite well, so we'll keep doing that. We used to do it so when I wrote for Pete Hellier on the show. We knew that we were writing for him, so we do that in that tone, and then any sort of surplus he would pass to the rest of the desk, and they could look and see if there's anything that they might be able to use. But we don't really do that so much anymore. Now we just go like one person gets the joke sheet, and then if the producers have decided that there's somebody else on the panel that's also kind of funny or kind of lighthearted, then they can get them as well.
It's funny that you're in like you're pigeonholed to what you are. You know what I mean? Like, so if you're on the panel, you're like, oh, you're the serious one.
Yes.
And then you're like,
but
you're
then
the
that's
jester.
quite important too, because it needs to be like when you're reporting the news, especially, like there has to be some balance. Everyone can't be a little clown. Do you know what I mean? Because you're also like, you can't have Sam Taunton's the comedian on the show at the moment. You can't have him talking about a woman, a baby getting fucking coffee thrown on them, and then 2 seconds later joking about something that happened.
Hope it was decaf.
Exactly. You just can't have that.
Like that. I could write on the show. And legal would be like, no. And I'm like, yes. There should be like an uncut one.
Yeah, that would be so much fun.
That would be, you would have so much fun on that.
Yeah, well, we do sometimes have like a little document that's just for us.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Actually, we haven't done that in ages. I do it sometimes for myself just to get it out.
Yeah.
Literally just to get it out. Like on my phone, I'll just write down a bunch of notes of jokes that I think that would be funny. Which you can't say.
I think Mock the Week, and I could be wrong here, Dara O'Brien or Brian, however you say it.
Dara O'Brien.
Yeah, you know that guy. Obviously, used to be one of your main dudes.
The host.
That I'm pretty sure they used to have Too Hot for TV.
Yes, they did. Yeah, they had the outtakes and stuff.
Yeah.
Mostly because Frankie Boyle was on.
Yeah.
Like 90% of the stuff that came out of Frankie Boyle's mouth would get them Ofcom complaints.
So that show wasn't live, was it?
No shows are live.
So the project
they're recorded live.
Yeah.
But they don't go out live. So there's if something happens, obviously they just go fucking cut that out. Jesus.
So what's the time difference between it getting recorded and then it going out?
About 30 minutes, I think.
Fuck, so they're gonna work pretty quick if something goes haywire.
Yeah, or if something changes. Like you can't have a TV show going out that's covering the news if something massive has just occurred. And, they haven't talked about it. Like, well, that happened like an hour ago. How come it's not? Do you know what I mean? Yeah,
so if some like tragedy or something happened.
Like the Queen dies, for example.
Yeah, that bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a cool job though. Like it's very
I like it.
That you can work remotely too. It's pretty
it's one of the reasons that I like it.
Yeah. So you've been writing for how long now?
In general?
Yeah, well, just like for TV and stuff.
For TV, about 7 years, I think, 7 or 8 years, maybe a bit longer now.
What have you written on?
I've mostly written on Have I Got News for You, Mock the Week, The 100 with Andy Lee, The Project, obviously. What was the other one? And the Trailer Park Boys. They're the big ones.
Yeah.
But the cartoon and the comic book, not the TV show that you all know and love.
Is the TV show, it's done?
Yeah, it's done. It's done. Yeah. And to be honest, the cartoon's probably done too, I think.
Yeah.
They might bring it back at some point, but...
I don't think we spoke about this the first time. I don't know if you're allowed to. I can easily cut this out. But was your first writing job writing for Home Alone?
No, my first writing job was writing for The Dad.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But Macaulay Culkin owned, was it The Rabbit or something?
Bunny Ears.
Bunny
Close.
Ears. Yeah, I knew I had something there.
That I think it was about 3 years in or something at that point.
Yeah.
When I got that. So I think I've been writing for closer to like 10, to be honest, 8 to 10 years. But yeah, I got that a few years after The Dad. That was a good one. I really liked that because it was just silly articles. It was just, you didn't need anyone's voice. You just had to be a fucking clown.
But why did Macaulay Culkin have a?
He still has it. He just pulled the funding from the writing staff, so he just repurposes stuff that is in the archives from before, and others like I think he makes like video content and stuff as well now. I'm not sure. I haven't really checked in for a while, but he just decided that it was hemorrhaging money because it was. They were paying us well, and it just obviously wasn't generating enough traffic or enough like selling enough of their merchandise and all that sort of stuff, which is fine. It happens.
Is it like National Lampoons? You know that back in the day used to be a magazine.
Yeah.
Was it like that?
Was what like that?
The bunny. What was it called?
Bunny
Rabbit
ears?
ears.
Bunny ears.
Bunny ears.
No. Well, National Lampoons is in the movies.
So National Lampoons at the start was a magazine.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's super interesting. It's like a biopic sort of those guys who made it.
Right.
The main guy slips off a cliff and dies. The story that it's about, essentially, the main guy. It's super interesting because they've all got like Bill Murray, Chevy Chase, blah blah blah, all these massive Jim Belushi.
Yeah.
Jim? James.
Yeah, it's James Belushi, Jim Belushi. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's two brothers. I can't remember.
Oh, I thought they were the same fucking person.
No.
Because James and Jim are the same.
I think Jim. Wait. According to Jim was the TV show. It can't be him. So that's Jim Belushi.
Oh, okay.
And then I can't remember someone Belushi that was in.
Steve Buscemi.
Yeah, yes, one of those cunts. He's in the show and stuff like that, and obviously like it's crazy. But the idea of that, I meant bunny ears, is that it's just an internet, like what is it? Articles on the internet?
Yeah,
just a website.
It's just a treasure trove. It's like a, I mean, more like a, not BuzzFeed necessarily. I mean, it is a bit of a BuzzFeed kind of rip, I guess. Yeah, it would be more like BuzzFeed actually, because they did the whole, the list thing or listicles, whatever the fuck they call them, articles and funny. Yeah. It was just an amalgamation with this funny stuff that they could find.
Yeah, and you just writing.
I was just writing articles. I didn't do any research or anything for them. I just wrote articles, and it was so much fun.
So it's just like more of a creative writing thing. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I really like those kind of jobs because there is no rules or guidelines.
Yeah.
Editors don't go, I don't know about this, or you don't get to decide. This is just a thing that I've made up, so you don't get to.
Yeah.
Like I would write spurious news stories that were definitely not fucking true, like about Michael Caine being allergic to birds or something like that, and that kind of shit. So it was just there is no wrong answer there or right answer.
Yeah.
Even legally, they were like, oh, we don't care.
Yeah,
say
really?
whatever. Yeah.
But they still had a legal team.
No.
Really?
No. If they did, I never spoke to them.
Is it one because it's for like America?
It's because it's clearly satire.
Yeah, because we don't have the same laws.
No.
I'm pretty sure if you start to like satire, South Park goes pretty hard at fucking celebrities.
Yeah.
But they're like, it's satire.
Yeah.
Whereas we're like, I will personally sue you.
Yeah, but South Park gets sued all the time.
Yeah. I don't know if they win though.
I don't think they care because of what it does to the show and the reputation of the show. It just brings, like in the early days, it just brought more people to it.
Yeah, I suppose when
everyone still remembers Kanye West got upset about the gay fish.
Yeah. It is a good way to do it, unless you go genuinely broke.
Yeah, if it ends you, yeah. But they had, the backing of Comedy Central and everyone else. I think they were fine. I don't know. I'm just kind of guessing here, but I don't think it really did much to them. But they definitely got sued a bunch. They were in and out of court constantly.
I feel like Family Guy had must
have had the same kind of thing. Because again, it's not you're not parodying someone when you're using their exact likeness.
Yeah.
And you're saying it that this is Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
You're not saying it's like Flom Trues or whatever. This is Tom Cruise. He's a Scientologist and he's a fuckhead. And then Tom Cruise sees it and goes, yeah, nah.
Maybe they're just too big.
Yeah.
That is a nice issue to have. Get to a point where you're like uncancelable from people.
I think that's it. Yeah. It's kind of like how some of these comics were like, well, it doesn't really matter if I get cancelled and deplatformed or whatever, and I'll just go everywhere and sell tickets because I've already made that name.
Yeah, it's crazy. Unless you do something heinous.
Yeah.
and you'd near on have to eat a baby.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't think comedian's done that yet.
Cosby may have.
Maybe. Somehow we get sued. Like these horrible people talking about this guy.
This poor guy.
Yeah,
This innocent poor guy.
He just wanted to fuck. So with the project, you work casually, full time?
Yeah, casually, yeah.
Yeah. So with that type of work, do you get a yearly contract? Like, how does it work?
No, I'm on a rolling contract essentially. So
Yeah, okay.
I just whatever my availability is and whatever theirs is, it just aligns that way.
Yeah. And it's pretty standard for you to get like X amount of shifts per week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get usually a set amount of episodes, and then every now and again I'll get called in to do something else, like an extra episode, because comedy festival's on and 3 of the writers are out for that week or something.
Yeah,
so
okay.
Can we cover that? But yeah.
I assume all the writers on the program are comedians?
Yes. Yeah.
In some capacity, or at least done stand-up.
Yeah, no, most are active. Other than our boss Liam, I don't think he's active anymore. But I believe everyone else is. When you met Rowan the other night.
Yeah, Rowan. Yeah, super lovely.
So he writes on the show, and he's a comedian. Yeah, I can't think of anyone who isn't actually.
Yeah, okay. So there's a prerequisite for.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it is a prerequisite necessarily. I think it's just maybe. I don't know how the rest of them got their jobs. That's the thing. I don't know if the project went to them or if they went to the project.
Yeah.
I imagine if the project went to them, it's probably because somebody along the line, one of the producers or something, saw a show or something and thought like, oh, they'd probably be a good joke writer on the show. Let's see if they're interested.
So how did you get the job?
I got the job because I was talking to someone at Working Dog about Taskmaster, because they were getting Taskmaster over here. And they put me in touch with, I forget her name now because she's not there anymore. They put me in touch with her. She was head of recruitment and personnel and stuff at the project.
Yeah.
So I got talking to her, and she was like, "Oh, we'll put you on they gave me an interview, and they were like, "Oh, we'll put you on a shift." Yeah. And then that shift was good, good. And then they just employed me from there.
Yeah. Okay. So as you said, you've written for. Was it Mock the Week, Trailer Park Boys, the animated series?
Yeah, no, comics.
The project here in Australia was the 100 with Andy Lee?
Yeah.
And something else I forget now.
Have I Got News for You, which is another sort of current affairs show in the UK.
So, writing for those big shows, what advice would you give to someone if they're sitting at home and they're like, I would love to write for TV? Like, what would you suggest as the start?
I'd say it's not as hard and as difficult to sort of crack as you think it is. It is difficult, but I think for most of us, we just go, TV's so far out of my reach. I'm not getting that.
Yeah.
But then you realize that once you're in it, it's just another job. It's just another industry, like anything else. Cracking it can be a little bit tough. My advice would be to start with writing for online stuff and build a resume that way, because you can get plenty of people will let you write for them for free. Obviously you need to contact them first, but they will let you write at least trial articles or joke packets and stuff like that, and they'll let you do that for a while. I mean, as a freelancer basically, but then you get to say that you've written for this, when you're building your CV, you've got 3 or 4 large publications that people have heard of on your CV, and then at some point you need to decide, when do I approach the first production company to see if this is enough now. And I think I didn't really do it that way. I did it that way after I got the first one. But I got the first one because of my social media. That's the other thing. Social media is just a free, easy digital CV. You're just building a CV that way too, because you're showing, if you're tweeting every day, for example, you show people that I can do this every day and not run out of ideas. Yeah.
So that's sort of something that we've got now, is social media. So if you're a funny person and you want to just put content out there,
just keep doing it.
Yeah.
Keep doing it. The amount of people that get jobs, contracts, and stuff from doing stuff like this, and because podcasts are social media too, essentially. YouTube channels and things, just showing that you can be consistent, showing you can be original, that you're funny, or just well informed, or whatever it is, the thing that is you're doing. If you want to get into real journalism or whatever it is, like you can showcase all of that stuff for free on your own. And the thing is, though, you can get to a point where you don't need to. You can probably make more writing your own stuff if you've got a big enough channel and a big enough platform than you would for writing for TV shows. TV money's good. It's not great.
Yeah, okay.
Like you kind of have to do lots of it and have lots of it going on for it to be like, all right, I'm pretty comfortable.
Yep.
But like one job is just like probably a bit better than your average kind of 9 to 5 or whatever.
Yeah, okay. But also it's not so much the ease, but if you're doing it remotely like yourself, you get the ability to sort of...
And it's not wanting to hang yourself every morning when you go like, I've got to go to work today.
That's always good.
Yeah, it's always good too. Like if you actually like doing it. I mean, I do like doing it. I love doing it. I've never liked any job I've ever had.
Real job.
Yeah.
When I say real job, I mean like a
real, like a proper job where you've got to leave the house for, however many hours and go and fucking, stack shelves or drive a forklift or do whatever. Like I've never enjoyed those jobs. So this is very different.
Yeah, it is interesting that it's still a job and you get paid for it, but it is very different from the sort of the stuff that you used to do before.
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
And in a way, like sometimes it kind of replaces, like it just becomes the new day job that you want to get rid of as well. Because now with comedy, like I just want to do stand up.
Yep.
So these other jobs that at one point in my life, I was like, that's all I want to do.
Yeah, yeah.
Now it's like, well, now all I want to do is get really good at stand up and make enough money from stand up so that I don't have to do these other jobs that I used to really want to do.
Fuck. What happens when you get really good at stand up? Acting?
I don't know.
You just go the opposite way, like Bill Burr and shit. It's like, I want to fly a helicopter.
Yeah. I don't know. I haven't really thought about that actually. I don't know what else. I mean, acting's not really something that I'm overly interested in, and I never really have been.
What about writing a script?
I've done that. And I like doing that as well. I do enjoy script writing, yeah, and script editing. It's a lot of fun, but like still, it's not as fun as stand up.
What about potentially writing a script and then making the movie but not being in it?
Yeah, but I think more so because of the financial reward from it, from doing like one project. I think that's the real appealing thing there. If that was like my constant thing, I don't think I'd enjoy doing that either. Because again, it would just be like, if like say it was a film, you wrote a film, had it made, weren't in it, but you were part of the, the production and everything else. I think that would be amazing. But it would be amazing because it would give you so much more time and money to then just go off and do more stand up.
Yeah, it seems to be stand up seems to be the main, like one that.
It is for me. It's the thing that I've enjoyed doing the most.
Yeah.
And it's only gotten more and more fun. As you know, since I started, I haven't taken a break from it. I just like doing it.
Yeah, you've done the complete opposite of me. You've stuck with it.
I didn't mean it like that. But yeah, I've enjoyed it so much. I haven't ever thought to myself, like, I need a break from this for a few weeks or whatever.
What's the longest you've gone without a gig?
Probably about a week. But that's not been by design. It's just not having anything booked in and nothing been going on, like Christmas or something like that.
Yeah. I suppose now you're getting a lot of people just coming to you for spots as well.
Yeah, more than before for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good feeling. I think we're nearly done. I'm just trying to think of anything that's sort of popping into my mind before
food.
The camera dies.
Food is popping into my mind. We should get food.
Yeah, okay. I did smash that pizza that was in the fridge.
Nice.
I was like, I've cleaned the house. I deserve this pizza. Anyway, this isn't for the podcast.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much, David, for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here for the week. It's been lovely.
Thanks for having me in your house for a week.
Yeah, yeah. All right, let's fucking stop this shit. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back next week with Steve Buscemi. Thank you. Goodbye. Oh, actually, do wait before you go. Plugs.
Oh, just social media. Just David Hughes everywhere. Unless you're going to travel to Brisbane, Sydney, and Melbourne to come watch me perform.
All right. Also, too, David is one of these people who's very, very generous with his time. So if you ever wanted to ask him about a question or something like that, he probably will respond to you.
Yeah, you can go for it.
Yeah, he's
if
a
you,
fucking...
genuinely, if you do have any questions about how to get started and stuff, like with more detail, happy to help.
He's a fucking gentleman. And also too, if I've got a few people come up to me recently asking about podcasting. If you got any questions about podcasting and you want to get into it, or you just want to be like, hey, Tait, kill yourself, send me a message.
I sent you that message earlier, but you haven't done it yet.
I can't read. But yeah, I'm willing to help as well. Someone helped me early days with podcasting and it was fantastic. So I am trying to pay it forward. I'll do it once and then I'll stop. So first in, best dressed. Goodbye. Thank you. Cheers.